We all are the keepers of the flame, and it's our children who will ignite that. Do you see the flame? Cannot help but say, there is the parade of miracles. Every day, they manifest what we hope our children will be. To do what is right, to love work, to love order, to be independent, and to discover that this is a lasting flame. Yes, if you have faith, I'll show you the flame. It is within each child. It is the flame of God. Early childhood is the most important ignition key to waken up the virtues opposite to what we think children are normally: noisy, dependent, disobedient, troublemakers. But I tell you, condition them in the prepared Montessori environment, in 1 month, I can guarantee you, a child will be obedient, will love work, and be excited by it. This revolution within the child, we have replicated for 50 years, even for the poor. I was convinced by Oscar Arellano, the president of Operation Brotherhood, to help in putting up a preschool in Sapang Palay. It did quite well, but when the Italian ambassador saw what I was doing, he offered me to go to Italy so I can train in the Montessori Center. So that's how everything began.
The story of OB Montessori has carved milestones in the history and development of Philippine education. It all began in 1966 when Ambassador Preciosa Soliven returned to Manila after completing the Montessori course in Perugia, Italy and London, England. When she opened the first Operation Brotherhood Montessori Children's House, it welcomed kids from 3 to 6 years old at the Siquia apartment in Malate, Manila. In time, the school had to move to bigger mansions in order to accommodate the growing number of students. With generous help and assistance of family friends like former Vice President and Foreign Affairs Secretary Salvador Laurel, the school continued to prosper.
At that time, my husband was very busy with his government work. But then, we knew Precious and her husband. And so he was quite confident that we were doing the right thing, putting the children there. It was only natural that he should be involved in what they were doing. And Precious was doing great things in creating a school and putting this education. That my children benefited so much.
3 years later, upon completing the Association Montessori Internazionale of AMI Elementary course in Bergamo, Italy, Dr. Preciosa Soliven opened the grade school level in Taft, Manila. Soon after, going on travel grants to visit some professional high schools in the US, Canada, and Australia, she was able to establish the complete OB Montessori programs from preschool to high school. The popularity of OB Montessori quickly spread when Dr. Soliven agreed to host a weekly TV show for ABS-CBN in the 1970s.
Montessori had a TV show called Montessori for the Home. Montessori for the Home showed the students cooking. It was just so much fun that we were chosen to guest in that show. And we cooked I think cheese omelette. Mrs. Sullivan kind of handled that show pretty well. It was fine.
Years flew by quickly. 1971 was the year OB Montessori opened in Santa Ana. In 1975, it was formally incorporated at about the time the Angeles School in Pampanga was opened. A year later, in 1976, the biggest campus in Green Hills was built. It would be more than 20 years later, in 1998, when the Las Piñas campus would be opened. And in 2010, the Fairview branch started operations. The biggest milestones pushed the impetus of growth. 20 years after she started the first OB Montessori school, then Foreign Affairs Secretary Salvador Laurel appointed Dr. Preciosa S. Soliven to represent the Philippines at the UNESCO in Paris, France, where she was elected as member of the executive board.
Particularly on the issue, on the matter of continuous learning program, Precious Soliven and her Montessori experience has been very, very good partner for us. That's how I first met her, and we've maintained very close cooperation since. We eventually succeeded in getting the Southeast Asian Continuous Learning Studies for Development. This was really the initiative of Precious.
She got a whiff of Maria Montessori's genius. Remember that Maria Montessori was very instrumental in the making of UNESCO itself, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization in Paris. She helped draft the right of the child. So in many ways, Preciosa Sullivan parallels the path that she took, that Maria Montessori took.
When Dr. Soliven became Secretary General of UNESCO Philippines in 2000, she carried on with the task of spreading the Montessori system all over the country. One thing that cannot be overlooked was the significant role played by respected journalist and lifelong partner Max Soliven. More than being a supportive husband of Dr. Soliven, he pushed for the Montessori system of education to flourish because he considered the Montessori system as an instrument in uplifting the soul of the country.
I thought it was very noble of a husband to allow his wife that kind of freedom to find herself, find a way with what to do with her life. Preciosa found a niche for herself. Her niche was in education. And the field of journalism belonged to Max Sullivan.
It is easy to see how Philippine education was revolutionized by the OB Montessori way.
The motto of OB Montessori is Sape Sum Facit Persona. Man makes himself. So our trust and our goal for every child is to make him independent.
A traditional teacher from preschool to grade school would use a blackboard and then workbook and textbooks and dictate. Children will be using their notebooks. The teacher is in front and the children are listening. The teachers usually want them to be immobile and quiet. But in a Montessori preschool, the children are always active, not being dictated by the teacher. It's like a triangle. The trained teacher is in one vertex. The other corner is the prepared environment, and then the children.
We compare our prepared environment to the womb of a mother. So in the womb of the mother, they have to be protected, the temperature is okay, everything they need for their nourishment, whether physical, mental, spiritual, it's all provided in their environment.
The children are provided with a special environment. That environment is divided into 5. We have the practical life area. We also have the sensorial arts area, the language area, math area, and the cultural arts area. All this material will help the children become independent and develop order, concentration, love for silence, love for work, friendliness, initiative, and joy. We have the principle that nothing goes to the mind without passing the senses first. That's why the children here learn easier because they are able to work with the materials using their senses.
Then we have the sensorial arts, which helps develop the 5 senses of the children. This area is divided into visual, auditory, tactile, olfactory, and gustatory materials.
Every material has an objective, but the child doesn't know that. Every material is complete. It is colorful, it is beautiful. They're like toys, but actually they're learning objects. Every piece, every nook, every corner is carefully studied in a scientific way. It's not just placed because it's beautiful there. No, everything has a purpose.
I remember them as toys early on, and I remember how they turned into lessons, how the beads turned into numbers.
In the Montessori system, you are able to analyze. There's analysis of movement. You know the steps on how to do things. Unlike in the traditional, the teacher tells you to do something. You figure it out yourself, how to do it.
So in the preschool level, which we call CASA, the teachers are trained to help the child become independent by carrying their own bag, opening their own bags, pulling out their own chairs. The chairs and the tables meet his physical size. The shelves and the materials are just right for him.
The handshake is our standard greeting here in OB Montessori. They begin during their CASA days until they are in high school, and they carry it on until after college. It's also part of their social grace and courtesy.
Through the years, OB Montessori Center has developed innovative programs in food service, agriculture, performing arts and leadership training based on the natural self-sufficiency of man in the 4 stages of human construction: infancy, childhood, adolescence to adulthood.
They know how to become followers before they can become leaders, so that they learn the discipline at a young age. They carry this over to the home, to the school.
Within a most secure and safe environment, nurturing the seed becomes second nature.
When they go to primary, that's grade 1 to 3, we teach them formal skills that are needed in school. And then he's already exposed to our cosmic curriculum, which you've seen. There's language, math, geometry, botany, zoology, history, geography, a smorgasbord of materials.
If you're a tactile learner and you like using your hands, so it's very important that you're exposed to materials like that, which OB has. Now, if you're a visual learner, of course, that's also part of it, but they also have the charts and the graphs. I'm a visual learner. So I can still remember in every classroom I had here in OB, they would have these pictures of whether it was zoology, botany. So we had the leaf laboratory, I still remember. And the pictures that helped me learn really faster.
It wasn't all just being in the classroom, because there were all these events that I had to do outside of the class. I worked with the newspaper, I did the elocution contests, and then there were these annual events or activities that we had. I just remember learning how to deal with people, and then in addition to all the academic stuff.
The hosting I did in OB was the exact preparation I needed. And also not just the hosting part, what actually prepared me more were the poetry and declamation contests, the elocution contests, the public speaking festivals, which were really, I think, more nerve-wracking than what I do now. I was so nervous in those years, but fortunately, those hard years of preparation, well, I'm reaping the benefits of today.
Siguro yung pagiging masigasig ko sa arts is, malaking bagay yung eskwelahan ko dyan. Yung OB kasi, they really support it. Like every year, I remember I was always part of yung mga heading for Broadway. Even sa classrooms namin, meron kami mga performances. talagang buhay na buhay ang music and culture, you know, like, yun, na-ingrain sa akin yun eh. Kasi at hanggang ngayon, dala-dala ko siya.
If there's anything that probably would define my high school experience, it would be those boys on the back table by the window singing every single day at recess or at lunch. There was an innocence to it. There was a lack of shame about it, which is a good thing, which I normally would not associate with teenagers. Normally it's all about hiding and self-conscious. It's a pretty cool school to be in, but if there's anything that you will learn, it will have to each be a manifestation of the school's motto. Thinking for yourself, thinking independently, thinking outside the box, thinking in ways that your friends will.
They recognize the arts, they recognize sports, they recognize music. What do you end up in? A very well-rounded, not only student, but a very well-rounded individual. Or maybe you can say a very well-rounded student of life, not just of a school. That is what OB has.
Very competitive sila, very articulate, at most importantly, makikita mo na meron silang mataas na level ng honesty and respect for others. No? In fact, ito lang yata yung school na napasok ko na walang vandalism ang toilet eh. It means so much kasi parang makikita mo na ang mindset ng mga bata, hindi nila dudumihan yan kasi hindi lang kanila yan, kundi sa mga kaklase rin nila yan. So, imagine mo if yung mga future leaders natin ay may ganitong uri ng pag-iisip, may paggalang sa kapwa, may disiplina. I think magkikreate tayo ng leader na magbabago sa ating lipunan ng tahasan at ng buong-buo.
Seen that students at the OB Montessori are very smart and well-rounded. Maganda yung kanilang ugali. They know how to help other people.
The effects of the method, I can see it in the lives of all the children here in school that I see every day.
OB Montessori helped me a lot. When I was already during my clerkship, that's the time when we connect or we interact with patients. I was able to talk to them confidently.
Promoting the ideals of education for all, OB Montessori reached out to countryside barangays, showing and helping people how to help themselves. In 1983, to reach out to the less fortunate, the OB Montessori Child and Community Foundation teamed up with the National Housing Authority to provide Montessori-based education to several poor families in Metro Manila and Cadiz, Negros Occidental.
The OB Montessori Child and Community Foundation is the implementing arm of the twin projects, the Pagsasarili Preschools and the Mothercraft Literacy Training for Adults. Now, these Pagsasarili Preschools are abbreviated Montessori training for teachers, and the children are getting the Montessori-based education in the less privileged areas of our country.
Pagsasarili, in the word in itself, it means you're teaching the child to be on its own, to learn how to live, to learn how to work, and adjust in life.
Over the years, a number of local government units, such as Batangas and Mimaropa, as well as private corporations, have taken an interest in the unique OB Montessori system, embracing the Pagsasarili concept as part of their advocacy efforts in promoting education. Today, there are more than 200 Pagsasarili preschools in Batangas and in other parts of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, together with a growing number of teacher trainees enriching young lives through the Montessori way. Of critical significance to the development of OB Montessori Center is the specialized training teachers undergo.
Montessori looks at the teacher or requires from the teacher to have a transformation. We call it a teacher training formation course. It's a formation course because it forms your spirit. It transforms your spirit as a teacher.
If you will notice, the teachers here, they have a special band. Why?
because they underwent a training program. Before they are given the assignments, they make sure that the summer training program is completed.
I have nothing but all praises for the administrators handling of the teachers, and of course even the non-academic staff. They do not only involve the teachers to much continuous training, but they make it a point that the personnel, irrespective of course their position, would be a part of one big family of OB Montessori.
Employees in OB Montessori are happy people. It's a happy environment. That's why we stay long.
The scholarship of our children, I think that's the most important or the biggest privilege that we get from this institution.
Binigyan ako ng OB ng matatawag nating home. Hanggat gusto ko ng OB. Mag-i-stay ako. Ganun kamahal ng OB.
Makikita ko yung mga trabaho ko, nakikita ko dyan sa classroom. Tapos pinakikinabangan ng mga bata. Kaya sarap ng pakiramdam eh. Isa yun sa nagpapalakas sa loob ko, sa katawan ko eh. Pag masaya kasi sa trabaho mo, parang masarap ang pakiramdam mo.
Every day, they are always in my prayers. Ma'am Sullivan, our beloved founder, and to Miss Sarah, our COO. I'm very thankful, I'm very blessed. Kasi they are very supportive, not only to me, but to my family. At sa iba pong mga empleyado, mayroon po silang malaking puso. Ang tingin ko po sa kanila, sir, parang kapamilya ko na rin po.
More than being a trendsetter and innovator in the field of education, OB Montessori works to leave a lasting legacy of hope and greatness to the country.
When you reach the age of 50, you go through tests and trials, challenges, there's sadness, there's happiness, there's problems, and then there's success. And what it is today, I think, has given more meaning also. The school stands for something in this country.
The amazing transformation of children from preschool is the only one that can save our country. And the importance of parents and all adults to understand the true nature preschooler, grade school, high school, and join the crusade to support it with the transformation of our system of rearing children.
The school has already grown so much. You see, if you have a small pile of stones, it is so easy to examine each and every stone as to its quality, as to its shape, and you have to really carefully determine and plan where you're going to put up that stone in that pile, so that that pile will continue to grow bigger, taller, and more stable.
The Montessori system is a fertile soil for parents to plant their children here as the seed, and the system itself and the child himself will eventually grow up in the right environment.
And so, the next 50 years, Montessori will keep on and keep on and keep on from generation to generation.
OB Montessori has been producing so many leaders in different fields, be it in entrepreneurship, specifically in food, politics, journalism, and it wouldn't equip me to be standing in the shoulders of giants, of people who've come before me, right? And to know that they've already revolutionizing fields before I even graduate.
I feel so proud to be an alumni, and it's amazing that even my kids are part of the 50th year. It's such a good feeling to, to be part of a such, successful organization, and it's good to know that, whatever I've learned in the past and the benefits that I gained from OB, that my kids would also experience the same thing.
50 years is a long time when you just sit under a tree. But with Precious, I think, in the time that is given to her, she has the heart with which she has shared. I think Precious' gift to us is not only the 5 schools that she has given, that she has brought about, but the multiplying this, adapting this, so that her advocacy of making it available, education in a way that children would learn from, would build upon.
After 5 decades of meaningful existence, OB Montessori is acknowledged as the largest Montessori-based educational system in the world. Its 5 branches are equipped with modern and state-of-the-art facilities for dynamic learning. These have nurtured the growing minds of more than 250,000 preschool to senior high school students. Today, the school is proud of over 25,000 graduates who now excel in their respective fields.
I would like to personally thank Mrs. Oliven for being so progressive. Dala ko ang OB kahit saan ako magpunta. And I will always be proud.
To my dear alma mater, words are not enough to express how grateful I am for the strong foundations that you helped me build throughout the years that I spent in OB.
I think every student that goes through Montessori has to realize, wow, that it is such a wonderful experience, learning experience, to be a part of that school system. And I think that's the most important thing about the whole educational experience, that the student is excited to go to class and learn and talk to their teachers and interact and end up confident. I think that's what Montessori did to me, and I hope that each student knows that that's what they're going to get.
So if there's anything I thank Montessori for, it's made me a very independent individual. And I think that helps in me being a better Filipino, which means not always following what you are told, but being critical and criticizing and forming your own opinions. I think as Filipinos, all of us have the responsibility to do that. So please continue to challenge, please continue to push, because many years after graduation, these young people will thank you for the impact that you have made in their lives.
My oldest alumni are about 55 years old. Several of them are politicians. Several are doctors, professional lawyers, entrepreneurs, you know. So their parents come to me. They always speak proudly of the achievement of their children. They're all over the world.
We've mastered our craft so well, but still trying to perfect and improve it every year. I feel that the role now of Montessori should elevate itself into looking more at helping the child to be socially committed.
50 golden years of OB Montessori. New commitment for the youth. Social commitment. National pride. Love of country.
Everybody could have equal opportunity to recover from this poverty, to become what we should be. One of the finest countries are Asia, and we used to be like that. We should be able to get back and resurrect. I think every parent has that love to see their child to be the best, to be happy, to be successful. So the faith of the parents, the faith of the good Filipinos will make us triumphant eventually. So the flame is there. So we must keep that flame. One day, it will light the destiny of the nation.